Hello! My name is Teacher Ray, and I'm back to answer more of your How Whoa group class teaching questions. Yay! In this episode, I'm going to provide some options for handling a somewhat touchy situation. Here's the question. How do you deal with sarcastic students? Ooh, see what I mean by touchy? First, don't let it get to you. You need to develop a sort of protective force field around yourself so that nothing negative can reach into your frame of mind and ruin that positive attitude that you need to maintain in order to be an effective teacher. My motto, never let them see you sweat. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't respond to student sarcasm. It just means that you need to consider how to do so in a positive and professional manner. You're a teacher. Use these opportunities to teach your students by example. You also want to always appear in complete control, as this helps your students feel secure and safe while they're in your classroom. Responding calmly and positively will help you maintain that appearance of control. I generally respond to sarcasm as if the response was given in a normal tone. I reward them or tell them, good job, etc. It's also important to think carefully about what the underlying cause of that sarcasm may be, as not addressing that underlying cause will likely lead to further occurrences of sarcasm. Student sarcasm can be caused by boredom, anger, frustration. It can be a cry for attention, or they might just be having a bad day. Of course, that underlying cause may not be obvious to you, but you can usually figure it out by paying careful attention to what your student says, how they're acting, and when they're saying it, when they're using the sarcasm. I've had a few sarcastic students, and they all pretty much boiled down to the same general cause: boredom. Many of our students study the lesson prior to class time, which means they may be seeing the material for the second, third, or even fourth or fifth time. By the time they get into class with you, they're pretty much over it. Some probably wonder what they need you for, especially when they know all the answers. Hence, the sarcasm. It's basically a display of frustration over being stuck in a class that they don't think they need. We can relieve that frustration by making our lessons more meaningful for those students. This can be done through personalization. Personalized questions are my go-to teaching tool, as these can be easily modified to fit each individual student and their individual needs. For example, say the keyword is bike. Instead of asking what color the bike is in the lesson image, ask what color the student's bike is. What about their sibling's bike? When did they get their bike? Where do they like to ride their bike? How often do they ride their bike? Who do they like to go biking with? When did they last ride their bike? For older students, you can include questions about books and movies, like for the vocabulary word mysterious. You could ask if they've ever seen a movie or read a book about a mysterious person. Then ask how the person was mysterious. Was the person a villain or a hero? What happened to that person in the story? You want questions that not only challenge your students intellectually, but also make the lesson objectives relevant to each of them personally. This can be done through their likes and dislikes, their personal experiences, what they've read, what they've seen, where they've been, their family, even their school. When you personalize the lesson, Your lessons are no longer predictable for that student who overstudied, and therefore no longer boring. And with that, it's time for wrap-up! My answer to the question about how to deal with sarcastic students is to respond calmly and positively, and to address the likely underlying issue of boredom through the use of personalized questions. As How OGC teachers, we all need to be prepared to respond positively to our students' behaviors, whether those behaviors are positive or negative. So I want to thank this teacher for submitting this question. Thank you. Do you have a question? Click on the survey link below and ask Teacher Ray. See you next time. Goodbye. How do you deal with sarcasm? Sarcastic. Oh no. Never let them see you swear. No. I've had a few sarcastic students. Boredom. Personalization. No. Some probably wonder what they need you for.